Today we shall begin with the first poem of your first language English, To a Pair of Sarus Cranes. This poem is by Manmohan Singh. We shall first see about the poet. Manmohan Singh is a well-known Punjabi poet, bird lover, nature observer and a conservationist. He was an IAS officer. He has many poems to his credit and they are compiled in a book called Village Poems. I shall once read the poem before explaining to you. The male was shot as he necked to pull the reluctant sun out from the rim of the horizon. She flew crying as he was picked up hands and jaws, and a proud neck was humbled to lie like dirty linen in a coarse washing bag. She circled the sky in movements of grace over his disgraceful end. The killers went away and she returned to the death's scene with grief that inscribed its intensity in dots and pits like the Morse code of birth sorrow transmitted to the air. With her beaks she kissed a few feathers, picked the ones that wind had not taken away, and sat to hatch the blood-stained feathers into a toddling chick. A wave of seas she had never seen came to her from far away and carried her to him. She went away beyond Hume's words, beyond the legends and fables of human love. We shall now see about Sarus cranes. Before beginning the poem, I just want you people to know what kind of birds are Sarus cranes. The Sarus crane is a large, non-migratory crane found in parts of the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia and Australia. Birds usually are of two categories, migratory birds and non-migratory birds. Migratory birds are those birds which usually migrate, means they go from one place to another place. But there are certain birds which don't go to other places. They stay in that local territory itself. So the Sarus crane also is a kind of non-migratory birds. They usually don't tend to go from one place to another. The Sarus cranes are supposed to mate for life and languish at the loss of their companion even to the point of famishing to death. A special feature of Sarus crane is that once they choose or select their partners, they tend to live for them. In case if any of the partner dies, the other bird also dies in grief. Even to the point of famishing to death means they starve till death at the loss of their companion. We shall now begin with the first stanza. The male was shot as he necked to pull the reluctant sun out from the rim of horizon. Here children, you come across two new words. One is reluctant and another is horizon. Reluctant means unwilling. A person who is not willing to do something is called as an reluctant person. And the next one is horizon. Horizon is the line at which the earth and the sky appear to meet. Actually the earth and the sky don't meet, but the line where they appear to meet is called as the horizon. So now we shall see the meaning of these four lines. In these four lines, the poet depicts the cruel nature of the hunters. This shows the carelessness nature of the hunters. The hunters shot down the male Sarus crane, which was joyfully flying high in the sky. The poet says that the Sarus crane looked as if he was trying to pull the reluctant sun from the rim of the horizon. The bird is shown as bending to pluck the sun from the rim of the horizon. Certainly the bird cannot touch the sun with the beak nor reach the horizon. But the poet has used this figure of speech here to show the eagerness and joy of the bird. The bird was trying to welcome the sunrise. Suddenly, however, the hunters came and shot it down. In this paragraph, we come across two figures of speech. The first one is reluctant sun and the second one is to pull the reluctant sun out from the rim of horizon. The word reluctant sun is personification. As you all know, personification is a figure of speech in which human qualities are attributed to non-living or inanimate objects. That is, When you give a human quality to a non-living thing, you call it as personification. For example, the mountains sang in joy. The mountain is a non-living thing. Singing in joy is a human attribute. So when you give that human attribute to a non-living thing, it becomes personification. Similarly here, reluctant is unwillingness. The sun is an inanimate object. So when you give the quality of unwillingness to the sun, it becomes personification. The next one is hyperbole. Hyperbole is a figure of speech in which you exaggerate a thing and you say, for example, her tears filled the ocean. You use this figure of speech to say she cried a lot. Similarly, the bird flew very high to welcome the sun. To show how high the bird had flew, the poet has used the words to pull the reluctant sun out from the rim of horizon. So in the first paragraph you come across two figures of speech. One is personification and another is hyperbole. We shall now see the second stanza of the poem. She flew crying as he was picked up hands and jaws, and a proud neck was humbled to lie like dirty linen in a coarse washing bag. You come across two new words in this paragraph. First one is linen. Linen is a kind of cloth, and the next one is coarse. Something which is hard or rough in texture is called as coarse. We shall now see the explanation of this stanza. The female Sarus crane saw her male partner being shot down. She flew crying over there. The grief and pain on seeing her partner being dead is brought out by the poet in this paragraph. The neck of the Sarus crane is very long, graceful and beautiful. It proudly raises its neck and flies. When the hunter shot the bird, it fell down dead. Its proud neck was humbled. So the neck of the bird, which was once very proud when it used to fly, was now humbled after the hunter shot it down. The hunters carelessly picked up the dead bird with its hands and jaws and put it in a bag. The poet says that the Sarus crane was dumped into a bag like we dump our dirty clothes into a bag for washing. The hunters weren't empathetic towards the birds. The mere fact that the bird was not human with the faculty of speech made the hunters to treat it like an inanimate object. In the second stanza, we come across one figure of speech. To lie like dirty linen in a coarse washing bag. And the figure of speech used here is simile. A simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison showing similarity between two different things. In simile, comparison is usually made using words like as, like or resemble. For example, she sings like a nightingale. Here, in this line, to lie like dirty linen in a coarse washing bag, the poet compares the dead bird being put in a bag to that of a dirty cloth that we put in our washing bags for washing. So the poet makes a comparison of the dead bird with that of the dirty cloth. So the figure of speech that is used here is simile. We shall now see the third stanza. She circled the sky in moments of grace over his disgraceful end. The killers went away and she returned to the death scene with grief that inscribed its intensity in dots and pits like the Morse code of birth sorrow transmitted to the air. In this paragraph we come across three new words. The first one is inscribed. Inscribed means to carve out. The next one is intensity. Intensity is nothing but force, power, strength or even passion. The next new word is Morse code. Morse code is a system used for sending messages in which letters and numbers are represented by short and long marks, sounds or flashes of light. We shall now see the meaning of the crane's pair for life. Having seen its mate shot dead by the hunter and being taken away, the female Sarus crane is heartbroken. The bird circled the scribe with grace, mourning over the disgraceful end of its partner. After the hunters had left the place, the female bird returned to the death scene and kept flying around, whining for its companion with short and long wails resembling the Morse code. She searched for him in the ditches and screamed to convey her sorrow into the air like Morse code. In this paragraph, we come across two figures of speech. In dots and pits like the Morse code of birth's sorrow. The figure of speech used here is simile. As you have already learned, simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison showing similarity between two different things. In this line, the poet compares the cry of the bird to that of the Morse code. The second figure of speech that is used here is antithesis. She circled the sky in movements of grace over its disgraceful end. Antithesis is a figure of speech that juxtaposes two contrasting or opposite ideas, usually within parallel grammatical structure. For example, man proposes and God disposes. Proposes and disposes are two opposite or contrasting terms that the poet has used. In this poem, the poet uses antithesis here when he says, she circled the sky in movements of grace over his disgraceful end. Grace and disgraceful are two contrasting or opposite terms. We shall now see the fourth stanza. With her beaks, she kissed a few feathers, picked the ones that wind had not taken away, and sat to hatch the blood-stained feathers into a toddling chick. In this paragraph, we come across three new words. Hatch. Hatch means to produce or to give forth. The next one is stained. Stained means discolored or tainted. Next one is toddling. Toddling means waddling or strolling. In this paragraph, the poet says that with her beak, the female Sarus crane kissed the blood-stained feathers of her mate, which the wind had not yet carried away, and sat down to hatch them with the hope to bring him back to life. This shows the agony and despair of the bird. After the hunters had gone with the dead male Sarus crane, the female crane came to the scene of death and cried in grief and sorrow. She found a few blood-stained feathers lying there, which wind had not yet carried away. She sat to hatch those blood-stained feathers to bring back to life. It was a desperate attempt on the part of the bird to revive back her mate. We shall now see the fifth stanza. A wave of sea she had never seen came to her from far away and carried her to him. She went away beyond Hume's words, beyond the legends and fables of human love. You come across three new words in this paragraph. The first word is Hume's words. Hume was a well-known writer. In his book, The Game Birds of India, Burma and Ceylon in 1881, about the Sarus cranes, he says as follows: they certainly pair for life and probably exhibit great grief for their male, keeping for weeks at times about the locality where their partner was killed and calling constantly. I have actually known they certainly pair for life. These words that Hume had written in the book is known here as Hume's words. The next one is legends. Legend means ancient mythological stories. The last one is fable. Fable means moral stories. We shall now see the meaning of the fifth stanza. In the end, the poet says that a sea of waves she had never seen came and took her away. Here, sea of wave means grief or sadness. The female Sarus crane had never seen sadness in her life. She was always happy. The death of the male bird pushed her towards sadness. Grieving for her companion, the female bird too died, thus uniting with her companion in death. The poet says that she went beyond Hume's words and the legends and fables of human love. The poet here speaks metaphorically, the sea being the metaphor for death, and the wave of seas here is a call of death, which the female bird had never seen before. We can be sure that the poet here is not referring to the real sea waves, because basically Sarus cranes do not live near the seashore. In turn, he is talking about the shock and despair the female bird experienced at the loss of the mate and hence joined him in death. The poet very delicately says that the wave of sorrow came over her and she too joined her dead mate on his heavenly journey. Their story is beyond words and stories of human love. Hume had said that they pair for life, but the female Sarus crane joined her mate in death also. So their story went beyond Hume's words and even beyond the legends and fables of human love. These birds mate for life. The partners pine for each other and die along with the dead partner. So here completes we come across two figures of speech used in the last paragraph. One is metaphor and another is euphemism. We'll first see about metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech that makes an implied or hidden comparison between two things that are unrelated but which share common characteristics. You have learnt in simile you make comparisons using words like as, like and resemble. But in metaphor you make comparisons without words like as, like and resemble. In this poem, the poet says a wave of seas. Here, a wave of seas is compared to the wave of sorrow or the messenger of death that came and carried the female Sarus bird to be united with her dead partner. The next one is euphemism. Euphemism is a figure of speech or a word or phrase used to avoid saying an unpleasant or offensive word. For example, instead of an old person, in euphemism we can use it as a senior citizen. In this paragraph, a wave of sea she had never seen came to her from far away and carried her to him. These lines actually mean that the female Sarus crane also died. Instead of saying it in such a harsh manner, the poet has euphemistically said that the female bird was swept away by the wave of seas she had never seen to a very far away land to be united with her mate.